Let's just get into this. It has been 4 days since the last one. Amazing. Okay, so we're in the little town, and I just woke up. We're having a mission, apparently. We're trying to sneak into the umbral place and all that. Excuse me, what? I stepped outside and saw them locked in their argument, leaning over the same table from the night before. Nobody else was around. It's dangerous. I can handle it. It's not just about you, boy. Call me a boy. I edged over to them. Once they noticed me, the tension in their shoulders subsided and they stopped arguing. Alan tried to force a smile. Good morning, Alex. Good morning. Jimsar scoffed. Stormed off outside. Alan raised his voice to him before he could leave. You're free to stay here if you don't like it. Alan sat on one of the chairs and fought against his frown, trying to smile. Trouble in paradise. Lamau, no, not really. He pointed an inviting hand towards the chair across from him. Sat down. There was gruel and tea prepared for us. Looked like they had eaten already. The umbral dossier lay there as well to the side. I tended to my meal while speaking with Alan. What was that about? Alan rubbed his hands and looked from side to side before settling on me. They decided that we will visit the sanctuary. And Jim Sar's not happy about that? Not happy at all. He wants to go after Umbral. That's what Heron said we should do. Of course he would say that. He wants us to spy for them. Why else do you think he told us so much about Umbral? Glanced over at the dossier. It did seem strange for the Silver and Watch spy master to brief us about their movements. Still, it's undeniable that they have what we're looking for. Besides, those rogues are too troublesome. You don't think it's safe to go to them? No, Alex. Ford instructed it with a fist, startling me and shaking my bowl. They almost killed you! The thief holding me and pressing the knife against my neck as Alan and the watchman stood by. That memory of terrible, paralyzing weakness unsettled me. Some kind of magic amused me at the time, and I was now certain of it. And the explosion felt like a slow death, unable to move, struggling uselessly like a bug caught in a spider's web. Despite that trauma, they weren't there to kill anyone, they just wanted the daggers. I don't think they wanted to kill anyone. Their idiocy managed to end lives. You too have had your life threatened. Makes no difference what their intentions were. Umbral will not be our focus, not yet. We have other safer options we can explore. Sanctuary? Yes, I know a place. 2 or 3 days to travel northeast of here. Don't want to check out the cache first? Why would we? Heron said to destroy all the items. What if he lied? What if he said it so he was just convinced us to go after Umbral? Perhaps he did. Those items were destroyed last night and they're surely destroyed now. Think he'd do that? Alan sighed and drew his lips straight, trying to hold back annoyance. I don't know this man, Alex. Either he does care about Jim Sar and spoke truthfully, or he lied about and sent someone to deal with the cash. Either way, we're not getting the dagger out of it. I nodded, feeling a bit silly for one on, I hope. It's gonna be great visiting a sanctuary. I can learn magic there. It's not why we're going, though. It should be good for you to see such a place. We're going to try and access the sanctuary library. I need to research Niganti tools. There may even be a dagger we can use. Okay, but Alan glanced at me with a quirked eyebrow. I want you to teach me some magic before we get there, please. He rolled his eyes again and muttered to himself, yet he smiled. I am the caretaker of 2 boys, it seems. I snickered. He had protested, but I knew he would do it in the end. In the month I had gotten to know him, I came to learn that Alan's mind was very changeable as long as you appreciated his gentle side. That what he was so certain you can even learn. Don't know anything yet. Isn't that the point? There's learning, and then there's learning how to learn. Just doing those reading right exercises, though, shouldn't that help? It should, when you are reading right. There's no time for that kind of study, though. What other kind of study is there? Study from within. The fundamentals of magic are all about tuning those senses and perspective on the world. You meditate and bring out your awareness. Have you felt any strange lately? Any weird feelings or observations? Other than this affliction, of course. I just have to say something. They're setting up a magic system here now, which that's a bit tricky to handle. I made my own magic system. I just never implemented it in any story. Basically, my magic system was this weird thing where the more you knew, the more the basically skilled magicians in my magic system are basically cosmic horrors of their own right in terms of power and ability to render all of your insecurities bare for you to see. It would take too long to get into my magic system right now, but let's just get into this. Not really. Oh, there is this one strange dream I had. Worked up at that. I was in an empty desert, naked, and there's a standing shadow. Standing shadow. Your shadow. Oh, I'm pretty sure it was its own thing. It moved by itself, too. And it felt something in my belly. I think it was this affliction. Alan leaned back and narrowed his eyes, staring at me and through me. What else happened? Nothing. I just woke up. Were you able to move? No, or barely. I think I could look around, but I couldn't my arms and legs. Just scratch his chin. Yes, that's kind of dream is a pervasive thing. Although with the strange, you have this shadow there with you. What do you mean? You had a dream like this too? Oh yes. Do you dream often? Not a lot, but often enough, I guess. I dream a lot. And a lot of them are fucking weird, and a lot of them are nightmares, and they're not fun. Because my imagination is crazy, and when I sleep, it gets bad. Especially with a nightmare. But, you know, they're cool. They're inspiration for stories, at least. Yeah, you're not likely going to experience thermal dreams anymore. Just the empty desert. That's how it's going to be for a while, yes. Back of your mind has done itself already. Don't understand. Nothing to worry about, not yet anyway. If you find yourself in that place again, just think about waking up when you would exit the dream. If that shadow creature tries to just do something to me, I'll chuckle. The shadow creature in your dreams. No, Alex, I don't think you have to worry about it. Okay. Stuck in my chair, disappointed by Alan's dismissive attitude. Shadow creature strange me more than the empty desert and empty desert dreamscape, and it was all strange and alien to me. It's just that I don't know if I can sleep well if I don't understand. Alan stared at me and read my discomfort. He readjusted in his seat and leaned in to explain. This dream, it is a byproduct of the way your mind has been altered after becoming a Pervader. The subconscious is the province of dreams, as well as the gate where the entities wields magic. It's one of the ways that changes manifest itself. Over time, you will begin to feel other alterations, more or less subtle. It sounds eerie. It truly isn't. I'm sorry, I'm doing a terrible job of calming you down. There's one good aspect to it. Your mind will become more sharper and more alert from now on. And what about the shadow creature? Alan shrugged. I've never heard of such a thing before. You could manifest such a creature yourself. But you say it appeared there without your choosing. Perhaps it represents your subconscious, like a fear or anxiety. I know there are dream interpreters among the vocalize that say such things, although our pervaders our dreams are not so mysterious. Our dreams are like a playground. You'll be able to gain control of your dreams and do with them what you want. That's literally just a lucid dream, but okay. Perhaps the shadow figure was just a momentary figment in the first of your pervader dreams. Once you train your mind, you should be able to banish it. Pervaders should develop this ability either to practice while sleeping. It's quite useful. Practice? What can you practice while dreaming? Magic, of course. That works. As I said, Dreams and magic flow through the same subconscious. You are, in fact, more powerful in dreams than the waking world. Some pervaders are even able to escape their dreams and do more, but it is too early to concern yourself with these dreams. I just know that it's a good thing. It means you have a healthy mind. Hurry up and finish your meal. We have a long journey ahead of us today, and we can't waste time. While I tended to the rest of breakfast, Alan started browsing the documents Heron had given us. Why can't I do that? He glanced over at them, turning page without focus or intent to study. Times he would look elsewhere, scratching at your sigh. Neighbors didn't seem to interest him that much. Earlier, he and Jim saw it butted heads, but now both their moods were sour. Alan had decided on a course of action which didn't sit well with the marshal's son, who must be frustrated that a pervader is calling all the shots. They are no closer to being friends than they were back in Chariot. I didn't have much success with Jim Sar either, but I was adamant to try again. Before we go, can you wait here for a few minutes? What's for? I want to go outside and talk to Jim Sar. We're going to keep traveling together. There shouldn't be any bad blood between us. He's distant. I don't want him to be like that. I want us to be friends. Alan stared for a few minutes, seconds and nod. Good. He needs a friend. He may be standoffish now, but his attitude will change in time. I'm sure of it. You will making people like you, Alex. So I stared at me for a moment and glanced down and away. He ran his finger in circles over the table like he was scratching at it. They're probably going to be together for a long while, longer than any of us are likely to guess. There won't be any people out there who will help us, so you have the right idea. We need to look out for each other. Sometimes I lose my head that I shouldn't. I am older and not as charming as I once was. Not charming at all. Chuckled bitterly. If you can get through to him, then you'll be making this journey much easier for him and for us. Go ahead, work your magic on him. That's a poor choice of words in this context. I get it though, but stood up and headed for the exit. Oh boy, it's sunny outside. The bright morning. I just remembered a meme that I saw. It was basically like there's American flag and it was like bottle of water, and there was a British flag and it was like bottle of water. Like, like fucking. I don't get how bottle of water, three syllables, goes into bottle of water. Like, it's what? Okay, sure. Like, I don't remember. It's fucking weird meme. Well, yeah. Bright morning. Blah, 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 blah. Some of the men from yesterday were attending their village routines as when I'd first see them. Now they held no concern for me. Such a strange situation to see them out and about like farmers and to know that they were much more than what they appeared. I guess. I never imagined I'd become involved with people like that. Jim Sar wasn't in sight, yet I heard him grunt nearby as if engaged in some heavy task. Walked along the side of the inn and turned a corner. I still cannot believe that all of this is fucking hand drawn. Like, that's just crazy to me. Found him near the cellar hatch through which we had passed the night before. He was standing, sword in hand, braced in front of a straw dummy. Oh, I angy. No, talk me, I angy. His arms were quick, whipping with his sword at the target. When he swung too hard, he yelled out. 1, 2 swift horizontal cuts, and he came down with a third, a heavy strike cutting deep. Strawy needles flew out the target as a large chunk dropped from its right side. Made no effort to silence my footsteps. He noticed me standing there, only paused as he continued to spar with his lifeless opponent. I ambled towards him, keeping an mild manner as I approached. That thing seems to be dead already. But I still remarked I would use him up, though he kept swinging away. Once I got closer, only as I got closer to those assaults, he stopped and turned to look at me. He dropped his sweat dew in his forehead, and his eyes showed numbing frustration. Are you afraid you'll have to use that? Nudged the sword in his hand. With a skillful motion, he lifted the blade at the height of his chest, turning it over and expecting it, and seemed to have shaken off some of his bad mood. You'll learn to fight in case you ever need it. It's not about being afraid, it's about being ready. Have you ever used it against a person? Of course, us watchmen spar amongst ourselves every day to keep our skills and senses sharp. I mean against someone who wanted to do you harm. Someone would put a sword back in its scabbard. Almost. That night. Thank you. I jerked upward in surprise. Or what? Kind of my rescue back in Chariot. Should have said it sooner. If you weren't there, I don't know what would happen to me. Thank you for saving my life. Once lifting right on away in a quick, jerky motion. Looks like he doesn't know how to accept thanks. Sure, you know it's my duty. Is to watch me against Pervaders. It's just the same you had to become one yourself. The sigil gives him an unsteady apprehension against me. He cannot see past me, and it seems he cannot see his own. Felt nerve to point it out, but knew that it wouldn't do any good. If he becomes right, I must better understand him. So, Alan said we should visit his sanctuary. Dwayne slid off no comment. You wanted to do something else. Umbrella out there with a dagger. It's baffling me why we're not chasing after them. Do you think the three of us could take them on? Look, it's not like that, okay? I'm not dumb. I'm not just going to be knocking on the door and demanding the dagger. What would you do? I would go to Tinderhall. We've known for a long time that they circle that area. Now, with Heron's information, we know a little bit more. They've been friendly with all the locals. Healer. Not sure why, but it doesn't matter. That's our lead. Do you think this healer would tell us where to find them? Doesn't matter if he tells us anything. We just follow him and see whom he talks to. You saw they approached us. They were sneaky. If you weren't there that night to raise the alarm, they probably would have gotten away with it. We can borrow some of their own tactics. Wait for an opportunity to show up, then snatch the dagger back just like they did to us. If we're lucky, you might be able to put some spokes in their wheels, ruin some of their plans. Heron gave us good info. We'd be mad not to use it to our advantage. Wouldn't it be better if Alan found a dagger at the sanctuary? Better for whom? He doesn't know whether or not he'll find one there. How could he? If these daggers were more common, he would have heard about them by now. We wouldn't know there's a way to turn people into Pervaders. You're right, we can't be sure we'll find a dagger in the sanctuary. Umber could be too dangerous, though. I mean, we're not an army. Just you and me and Alan. I'm a bit afraid, to be honest. We had the watch with us, things would be different, but we're on our own, Jimsar. What we need to make sure we stick together and make the right calls. Alan at least has some knowledge about this magic stuff. If he says we have a better chance of finding such a sanctuary, then maybe that's our best option. And if he's wrong, Alan said we can follow up a number afterwards. He said that? Alan's not unreasonable. He can change his mind if you talk to him. It's just, we need to get along. We need to be able to rely on each other. Fight amongst ourselves, Umbra wins. Sir turned away, sighed, and kicked at the pieces of straw littering the ground. Although he had said nothing for a while, I understood his brooding silence to mean he had yielded to Alan's plan. Put aside his doubts and no longer in Alan, even though he's against it. It's enough for me, though. What if we went after Umbra and something bad happened? I would gladly die fighting against them. Jeez, I get it, but like, dude, your dad would fucking, God. His voice was shaky with reckless courage and held within it a deafening blindness toward mine and Alan's fates. It's kind of brash as it stems from a good heart, yet prickles at those it does not want to harm. If I can fight against someone directly, then at least I'm doing something. It's not just about me, you know? Watchmen supposed to protect people against this kind of stuff. My little brother's waiting for me back home in Ardney. My older brothers too, a mother and a father. Let me see me safe again before I left them. I promised that I would return to visit in a year. It's half a year ago, I only have half more to go. You're very brave. You saved my life, and I thank you again for it. Not as brave as you or skilled as you. I can't help you fight against Umbral. Right now, the only thing I can do is be cautious and learn. I think that's my best bet if I'm to be able to survive this, because I have a promise to keep to the people who love me. You made that promise, too, to your father. It's not a promise against Umbral, but to him, because he wants to see you safe again. Isn't that what it's all about? Just wait for me moments to gather his thoughts. My father is the best person I know or will ever know. He helped me find the dagger. He told me to help you find the dagger, and that is what I'm going to do. May disagree on how we go about it, but I also have to keep my promises. Still, my father... Both of us broke our oaths doing things this way. All of this is way outside what we normally do as watchmen. He started shaking and squeezed the sword's handle. He looked away from me, down to the chunk he'd sliced off the dummy. Is the watch more important than your own family? And he looked at me with heartfelt unease. To say anything would be bad. It's my duty to protect others. If it is noble to serve that duty, then why should I be doing this? Why should I spend so much time to save my own life as other people's lives? Why couldn't I say that the watch is more important? If it was true, but easier to say. Looked back at me and showed a measure of hopeful anticipation. In my head, I think that all I do is wrong, but in my heart, I don't know. Sir Marshall said you had to let Alan help us. Your father is wise, Alan is too. They know better than us. It's not yet our turn to go against them. Jim Sir looked around and nodded again, letting his doubts escape through a sigh. All right, go to the sanctuary. Don't need to convince you, I would have gone along with Alan regardless what you said. If you feel better about what we're doing, then all of us will feel better about it. So before we headed for the front of the inn, something else I wanted to say. Alan is going to find a cure for us, and I'll do everything I can to help out. Not that smart, and I don't know magic, but frankly, I'm not confident I'll be much help, but I'll do my best. You said this affliction of ours is linked to the sigil. The sigil makes Vader's able to use magic. On instinct, he moved his hand down and pressed against his lower hip. We have to lose our sigil to lose this affliction. So be it, I accept that. What I mean is, I want you to know that you don't have to worry about me getting in the way. Jim Star shook his head. Last night I was upset and rude, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said what I said. You're right, you'll be us, and I understand that now. You weren't entirely wrong. I know that magic didn't so well with you, but I really want to learn it. I was too excited to think clear about what it all meant. You made me rethink things. He turned to look at me for the first time. I saw an inkling of a smile. Okay, Alex. As we walked, Alan turned the corner and met us. He stood there while we approached. He saw us walking alongside each other. When his eyes met mine, I smirked, and he smiled back. Although I'd become used to seeing Jim Sar's face locked in a disappointed frown, I knew now his movement was always like that. All right, which way are we headed, Alan? Al gave a respectful nod. Further north and a bit to the east. The place is called Vale Garan, and if the road is good to us, we should be there in 3 days. Good, let's not waste any more time then. So we walked, together this time, onward, northeast, towards the sanctuary we had agreed upon as our destination. And as we began our lockstep journey, I felt more optimistic about our future. I'm sure we face many more challenges on the road ahead of us. This will not be the last time we argue. We are likely to stumble upon problems which will shake our faith more than I wish to imagine. But beyond all that, I am hopeful. If we manage to overcome this hurdle, then the next one will be easier to handle. We continued our journey on and into the country. The road was just as long as wide as it was before Miriam, breathing more steadily this time, my legs had a softer ache to them. Another village came before us, larger, doming a hill. At its peak, a white church tower pierced at the sky with its lone, steely vane, fashioned up into an up-pointing feather. It was the symbol of a faith I did not yet recognize. Alan explained to me that Orithane was a mosaic of different cultures, with patterned patterned countrysides that vary not only in land but also in people. He didn't recognize the feather, but claimed it was a symbol of this land's particular religion. Up the hill and down the valley we went, passing by old farmers whose faces were roasted by the summer sun. When they would glance our way, their eyes narrowed just a flash before returning to their husbandry and gossip. An unspoken understanding kept us level-headed. As long as it didn't act strange, it would not react strangely. Caution toward us is much more tempered compared to that of Heron's lackeys. This was an expected level of suspicion. It was decided they would avoid staying in towns overnight, for fear of waking up with a sylvan presence around us, at least until we get further north. Although we are outside the domain, Jim Sar urged us not to take any risks. We stumbled into Heron once. There are other far less forgiving people on the road. As to avoid them. Further we treaded. As evening fell, 2 more villages were now behind us, drowned out among the hills and scattered copses. There were no towns on our way to the sanctuary, and that was out of deliberation. Map revealed to us the safest course. From then on out, only the road and its flanking wilderness kept us company. My steps sank and pushed into the dark and humid ground. Starting to get muddy up ahead, and the sky bore an ashen curtain of clouds, fringed by the silvering of sunlight. Air was damp and cool, ridden with earth and smells. A gentle breeze would occasionally sharpen and cut at my cheeks and muzzle, bringing the chill down the roots of my whiskers. Must have rained earlier, and it looks to rain again. Silent flash, and the clouds abed, and we all flinched. Storm's coming. Aye, might be time to call it a day. A distant crash of thunder washed over us, rattling through the air and earth. It continued to crash across the hills behind us. Jim's were pulling off the side of the road. Over there. An abandoned mill, its white silhouette jutted against the dull sky. Wild weeds and bushes flared at its base, marking its decay. We all glanced at each other and nodded. That will be our likely cover for tonight. Alan walked ahead while I and Jimsar followed. We got closer, the mill's verdant qualities became richer in spite of the overcast. Vines whined and crawled up between the coarse stones and over the ruined parapet, as if chaining down a sleeping giant. A coat of leaves covered its north-facing side. If it came the other way, it might have stayed hidden among the trees. Alan approached the entryway. The door was missing, although there were markings where the hinges used to be. Wait here, I will see if it's safe. We stood back and observed Alan. He brought his hands out in front of him, made them dance to the rhythm of the spell. 3 wisps of light appeared, floating above and around him like an aura. He crept closer. Flying flares followed him. They glided ahead, through the entrance, and rushed up the tower, painting their walls in golden light. You could see the shine through the cracks in the walls and up above. Alan leaned in to take a peek. After judging it safe, he stepped inside and looked over once more. The tension in his shoulders went away. He raised his hands and went to touch the wall, tapping and patted it over. After satisfying his caution, Alan released a deep breath. He gave his cloak a flutter. Looked down and knelt, picking up a piece of wood among the remains. It was an unlit torch, though its cloth was unraveled. Alan wound it back together, then moved his hands and mouth to fashion another spell. A true flame burst atop the kindling. The wisps vanished. Now we were left only with the flicker of the flame. Mounted the torch in a sconce across the doorway. All right, come on in. Jim Sarn entered the husky hall. Look at this place. The floor was littered with gravel, overgrowth, rotten wood, rags, and broken shelvings. The stench of damp ferment permeated the place. It was heavy enough to notice, but light enough not to be too distracting, as if something died here not too long ago for the land to remember. Although the building was damaged, it didn't look like a victim of a war. What was ruined seemed to stem only from the passage of time. That thought gave me some peace. We are not likely to be disturbed in this place. Glancing up, I noticed there wasn't much of a roof over our heads. Most of the ceiling had withered away, with only a few wooden beams still in place. That did not bode well for shelter. Then an idea crossed my mind. I laid down my knapsack among the cold stones and pulled out the tarp inside it. Jim Star looked at me with a raised eyebrow. You want to set a tent up in here? Not exactly. Help me out, will you? Turned toward the stony stairs of the mill. Jim Star put his sword away, leaning over the wall before joining me. Follow me as I climbed up the stairs to the first couple of wooden beams. Alex, what are you doing? Down below, Alan glowered at me. Just wanting this tarp over our heads. Mess around up there and this place might crumble. Go on, Alan. One of the wooden beams. If we lay the tarp over these, just keep us dry. Alan's wide eyes slowly relaxed. He sighed and gave a curt nod. All right, be careful. Don't slip. I swung them over before turning to stare up at us with a frown. Handed one side of the tarp to Jim's while I climbed further up to get to the other log. Kneeling down, I reached out and pulled the tarp over, tucking the edge between the beam and the wall should do the trick. Straight it over. Jim did as I did and let the other edge hang over the other beam. Now one side should remain covered come rain. Good, now come down. Easy now. I headed down the steps, taking care not to trip. Outside heard the preambling wind begin to assault in the foliage surrounding this place. Alan's scowl turned soft and reached the bottom. He parted his lips and as if about to go off on me. When I met his troubled glance, he froze and softened further, then turned away. Jim Star and I drew our lips straight as we stared at each other for a moment. Our eyes said the same thing. He is much too worried for us. We set aside our bags and prepared for the night. We'll make a fire. Help me gather all these rags and put them in a pile here. I nodded and did as he asked. Alan walked outside, his cloak whipping in the rising wind, speaking of fire by the entrance. We scrounged up everything that could be used as fuel. Alan borrowed the torch from its place in the wall and lit the heap on fire. Then we sat, huddled around the glowing flame, resting our backs against the cold stone wall. Soon the sky above turned thick with clouds, and we inched further back below the tarp. The sound of wind-lashed leaves outside was starting to weaken, replaced by drenching a pitter-patter. Hopefully the tarp would keep. It started to pour. Shelter worked out well enough, except at times when the gush of water would spill between the beam and the wall, trailing down the stones to reach our backs. The air grew cold and misty. My snout and arms were tickled by the specking of droplets which splashed across the stone floor in front of me. Looking through the doorless frame outside became a curtain of falling needles set against pitch black. It felt like we were in a void, as if this narrow space was all that was left of the world, trapped in its last failing bastion. Everything else is forgotten, or lacking the substance to make it real. That is a genuinely fucking really cool image, and honestly, I could see that being really effective in like a horror scenario or something like that. I don't know. I just, oh god, I really like this VN. It's the writing is great, the art is great. It's just I like all the characters, the world building. Everything so far has been really good. My eyes focused on a small pool that formed at the edge of my toes, its surface rippling with each raindrop. I glanced over to Alan on my right. Met my concerned stare, I held it for a few moments, and he gave me a shoulder nudge. It's fine. It'll be over soon. Rains don't last long around these parts. Off to my left sat Jimsar with his knees up to his chin. He was fiddling with his fingers, and his tousled hair had become dark with white spots. Ew. Ew. That was disgusting. Although he had a tendency to look sour all the time, I recognized the tension in his furrowed brow. Are you okay? I didn't look down, tapping his foot haphazardly on a damp cobblestone. I don't like the rain. I'm gonna pause it real quick. Sorry, guys. Kind of threw up a bit, and bleh, bleh. Jimisar leaned forwards and reached his arm back to pull out the sword and scout from behind him. Pushed his knees back and held it open in his lap, his thumb pushed up on the hilt, lifting an inch to flash the blade's metal. Might blade get rusty in this storm. Shouldn't it be safe in that? Water can trickle down into it. I'm not sure where to put it to keep it dry. Found it strange to seem so concerned for his weapon. Though he was a swordsman, I shouldn't be surprised. Maybe it's because he looks just as concerned for the thing as he was for his father. Thankfully, the rain would not last much longer. A little while later, the drizzling sounds were beginning to fade. Stopped pouring. The flame in front of it was beginning to dim. I held my hand outwards, basking in its fading warmth. All the dark clouds were passing over the night, and its chill were already here. Alan stood up. His hand brushed away the dirt with his brushy tail, and then he readjusted his waistband. All right, we'll sleep here tonight. He stared up. The tarp had kept, though it had gathered water. I'll take it down. Alan gave me another concerned look, though he understood how to come down. Stays up there, it might slip and spill water collected right on top of us. I don't know what's happening. It's like I can feel the fucking puke. Ugh. Oh, it's disgusting. Fucking hell. Anyway, enough. I'm not. Okay. A little while later, everything was ready. Our bedrolls were up and the lights were out. Good night. Back again in his unconscious void. For a moment I felt that I returned into this wasteland dream, but it was only a fleeting memory. The shadow was still in that place, I can feel it, even though I did not visit it again. Whatever I was dreaming, it would not stay with me come morning. Fate had decided I would sleep well this night. I woke up to the gentling crackling of the campfire. A spoon clanked against a kettle, followed by the old bear's sniffle. Up above, I heard a bird flutter and landed. A bird sang and paused, and after a while, it flew away again. My eyes opened. I was alone in the old mill. Alan and Jim saw were nearby, I knew, but their immediate absence made me nervous. Shut out of my bedroom and went outside. The two of them were sitting around a new campfire they had made, a ways off to the side near the sails. Alan was tending to the kettle. Across him, Jim Sawyer was sat drinking tea. As he sipped, his eyes met mine. I pranced over to join them. Alan turned to notice me. Good morning, Alex. Morning. Jim Sawyer just stepped toward me and nodded. Before I could sit down, Alan pushed a bowl of fried mushrooms into my lap. Sit. Eat. Oh, thank you. Jim Sawyer picked these himself. Leopard seems proud of himself. I thanked him as well. Did you guys have breakfast already? Yes, I didn't want to wake you up earlier. You were sleeping so soundly. Like a princess. Sit down. And I'm the one who wakes up last. Why does this always happen? Am I lazy? I stood over Alan and Jim Sawyer. They didn't seem too concerned. Sorry if I overslept. When you're on the road, sleeping well is not oversleeping. It does us no favors if you don't have the strength to carry on. Besides, there's only so much we can travel every day. True. Half a day on foot is enough. No more than that, you risk keeling over sooner rather than later. You've done a lot of traveling? Not a lot, but more than most. We're trained as soldiers and part of that is marching, and know when it's time to stop. Still, I couldn't shake this burdensome feeling. Lowered my eyes and looked at the bowl. Thoughts kept pestering me as I cried a mushroom brought to my pouting lips. My absent-mindedness, I forgot to open up, instead smearing fungal juices all over my snout. I flinched and lowered the bowl back down on my lap to wipe the mess from my mouth. Jim Sawyer chuckled. You pervaders often forget to put food in their mouths? I was wanted to draw into a pouting myself as doing it. Gave him a playful sneer instead. No, you just picked shite mushrooms. Maybe you have shite taste. Oh ho, that is an injury. Back home, he used to put mushrooms in the bread when the Duke held feasts. My father would order some of my father's. Champignons. I don't know how to say that. Give me some pleurotes and I'll make the best you ever had. Such fancy. Too bad I won't help you out here. Good on you, Alex. There's no market here. You have to find them in the wild. Wagged a finger at me. I bet you don't know the poisonous ones from the good ones. Hesitating led to the opportunity. I knew it. You're helpless. And mushrooms are still shite. Oh, really? Hand it over, you're not gonna eat. I'll spare you the embarrassment. You really don't want it. Hang on there, lad. I cooked these mushrooms. Are you saying my cooking is shite? Not at all. Smirked and stared at the watchman. See, Jim's ever weren't around. These would be inedible. The leopard simpered and rolled his eyes. All right. Hush now and eat your breakfast. Then out of my meal, making sure not to mess up the first bite again. Wouldn't want to get more reason to tease me. Maybe I would. We should arrive at Vale Garan tomorrow. It's good that last night's storm got some lead when it did as to might have delayed. And turned to look at me. I want to check your condition. Returned to Jim Sawyer. Yours too. Based on what I saw back in Sherry, those risks on your bodies become dangerous when they grow to cover each limb. It's been 3 days since. Now is a good time to see how far it's gone. Jim Sawyer and I both nodded at Alan. I raised my feet and lifted my shirt up over my head, exposing my sigil from the crackling affliction. Although I had this thing in my body for a while now, the fact that it was growing hadn't been in my mind. Strangely, I never desired to check on it. I always knew it was there, unshakable, fettering. It was a threat to my life, was only a passing conscious thought. To my surprise, Jim saw undressed to his underwear? Of course, the shrapnel struck him in the hip, and that was where the sigil must be. What struck me was his impressive body. He's younger than me, yet he looks like he'd break me in half on his bad side. He's so sinewy. Turned away, not wanting him to notice me staring. Come here, both of you. Joe was in front of Alan. He took a while to study us, comparing the different ways the cracks manifested over our bodies. Do you feel it anyway? Feel it's there, but it's not really a feeling. Yeah, I can tell it's on me. Alan pressed his finger over the mark going up the rib. Any pain? Such made me shudder. I held her hands on me in quite a while. Brought about awkward thoughts which I hurried to put away. Flinch's eye flinched, our eyes locked. Sorry, it's flat. I don't feel anything too strange. Both stared at the mark and how it pulsated. Can't be a coincidence being alive with my heart. No, you're right. That's worrisome. Probably why it's so dangerous. Then examined Jim's heart as well, his eyes dark between his bark and mine. Jim's heart was biting his lip. Sometimes he'd look away into the distance. Alan, can't this thing be cut out? Old Bear glared at him. We have none of that business here. That's what you want to do. You should let Heron take you to the clergy. Jim saw a frown open his mouth to say something, stopping himself just short. This affliction be treated with care and mercy. Not what I meant. I don't know if it works. Don't talk, rot. If it did, you would have seen it. What are you two going on about? Both glanced at me. Jim's heart shied away. The watch takes sick pleasure in torturing pervaders. Not torture. They cut into the residuals and tried to remove it. Take it into its physical condition, hoping they can turn us into shaman to make us lose our powers. Madness. It's not like that. Only watchmen are awakened. They'll need to volunteer to the clerk. I don't care for your brutal excuse. We will not go down that path. Jim stared back at Alan for a while. Are you so sure it wouldn't work? Isn't this curse different? It's not on your skin or your fur, lad. It's the thing. It's on the thing that is you. The right current thought you'll make it worse. Saying this for your own sake, put the thought away. Mercy on the soul if you want to maim yourself and get an infection too. Jim Star said nothing, lowering his chin and turning away. He went to put his pants back on. Alan sighed and gave a nod towards me. I also got on my shirt. After we cooled off a little, Alan gathered us by the campfire again. He sat down on the log, holding a stick in his hand and tapping it twice on the fine dirt between his feet. I'm sorry, do you know about the sigils? I learned about them in my training. Scratched his chin. I've forgotten the specifics. It doesn't matter much to me. Pervaders hide their sigils. They don't get to see it before they use it. And by the time you get close to looking at it, they're no longer able to use their magic. Yes, well, this should be good for you too. Alan leaned forward and pushed the tip of the stick against the ground, using it to form a shape. Each pervader has a unique sigil. It's the thing that defines the quality of our powers. Jim stood by crossing his arms. Although each sigil is different, they all follow distinct patterns. Recognizing the pattern will tell you about one's magical talents. Will help you understand yourself better. Wow, okay. That's a lot of different ones. Not really, so it's only 7. Alan had drawn 7 distinct shapes on the ground. Each of these symbols they represents a different affinity for magic. He pointed at the first one. The moon sigil representing the seers. The sun that marks the firebrands. Tower worn by doctors. The hand branding witches. The wheel for rebels, I am one of these. The feather, whose pervaders are called dances. And finally the hammer, the symbol of carvers. What do they all mean? Alan was tapping his foot and staring down. He studied each symbol, tried to see if I could recognize mine among them. Alan lifted his sleeve and showed off his own. Look, my sigil has different markings with different widths and lengths, a U shape, not marks. Even though it is missing part of the circle, the wheel pattern is there, see? Indeed, if I had to pick one which is most alike, it would be the one Alan drew as a wheel. The circle was unfinished, but the prongs on all sides made it clear, though none of these symbols seemed to describe what I had. I looked at my shirt and stared at my own, comparing it to what was in front of me. Does it look like any of these? You have a peculiar sigil. Doesn't look very similar to these. Alan sighed. I am not a strong expert on sigil, but it does look strange to me. Every sigil I've seen been able to correctly guess the pattern. Yours looks much too different. He's rubbing his chin and looking down. Now and sat cross-legged on the ground, trying to figure it out. Could it be the moon? Circle in the middle, and the other three circles make a triangle. Has to be the closest thing, right? Alan shook his head. All moon sigils I've seen have a few lines between the triangle. The metal circle should be roasting on the bottom edge. It does resemble the moon, but characteristics are missing from yours. I cannot say it's the one. I'm not sure what to tell you, Alex. These are all the sigils. All the ones we know of. Sat there in thought, attempting to make sense of what was on the ground and on me. Gentle frustration urged me to keep trying, but after a while I gave up. That's interesting. I wonder if the whole thing is going to be like, it's a sigil that's so powerful that, like, it's causing the illness because of the amount of power. I really hope not, because that's just fucking a recipe for Mary Sue storytelling. Another bird call rang and passed somewhere close above, breaking my concentration. Jim, sir, what do you think? Standing to the side looking away, unconcerned. I don't know. Sorry, but I don't really care about this stuff. Why are you making such a big deal about it anyway? What does it matter? What matters to me? I want to know what I can do. It's not why I showed you this. I noticed your sigil back and shared it and thought it was strange then. An enchanted dagger explodes and inflicts disparity, and also it gives you a mark I cannot identify. Alan shook his head and tapped the stick against his foot. What is it? Maybe it isn't a sigil. Alan kept silent, pondering and poking around with his stick. After a while he spoke. Yeah, Alex, I think it's time I taught you magic. Went a rush crawl my spine, my face winked into an uncontrollable smile. Finally! My stomach could not hardly be contained as sprang up and stood before him. Yes, thank you, Alan. I've this for so long. Calm down, you've been there for 3 days. 3 days too long. Ever since you were locked up in that cell, I'm begging Alan to teach me something. Albert raised his feet, the corner of his lips only barely hinted upwards in a half-smile. All right, I want you to be careful, though. He placed his hand on my shoulder and tilted his head downwards, his eyes level with mine, staring. Mess this up badly and you'll scorch your free little head. Alan gave a chuckle, pat on my shoulder. Do it perfectly, you'll see. My overconfidence amused Alan. He slapped his belly with both hands and tugged on his shirt, adjusting it. We shall see indeed. Alan and I stepped into a small clearing within the thicket at the side of the old mill. I'd like to see what you can do just to figure out if your sigil really works. Canopy above cast heavy patterned shadows on the short grass, rocks, twigs, and dirty mounds. Morning dew freshness permeated the glade, tickling my nostrils. Each breath I took was green and gratifying. A ladybug buzzed and flew past my ear. My eyes followed it as it rose toward the trees. Okay, I just have to say something. On the itch.io page for this, it said that it would like please fans of Lord of the Rings, and I'm just sitting here like, how? What about this is Lord of the Rings to you? It doesn't, like, after playing it, like, as long as I have, like, how is this similar to Lord of the Rings? Like, what? If anything, I'd say it's more similar to A Song of Ice and Fire in a way. Well, the magic really isn't a big part of A Song of Ice and Fire. It's very, very small, but it's there nonetheless, whatever. Oh no, don't do that again. Ray of light blew into the foliage behind me and urged me to refocus. Most students start out by playing with a basic spell. That is what they want you to do. He and I stood a few feet apart, facing each other. Jimsar was there too, off to the side, sat lying in the thickest shade below a younger tree. I'll demonstrate again. Alan flicks his hands and fingers, producing a flowing orb of gentle light. This is a torch. I want you to try and make one of these. Alright. How do I do that exactly? You told me that you can feel the bot mark in your body, but what else can you feel? What do you mean? Wisp began to float towards me. It was gentle, bobbing up and down as it approached. When it got close to me, it slowed down and entered my body. Wisp set itself in my chest. Its light bled through my skin and lit my fur. That is a fucking weird image to think about. Wow. But my insides began to radiate and stir. My breath became warmer and my thoughts softened. Air was tangible. Every hair on my skin shone and prickled. The entire being felt vulnerable. There was also a sense of balance and peace, like I was awake and asleep at the same time. What is this? Do you feel it? My mind wandered in places and numb spaces that I could not understand, which I did not even feel the need to understand. Waves of red, orange, and yellow, glowing bright and dark like a living sight, washing away from a webbed pocked background. Floral and bitter scents flowed in every possible direction. Something cool and smooth held in a hand. It touches a living pebble and breaks apart with a crunch. I feel strange. You're in a stimulated flow state. No. Suddenly felt a great loss. There was a oneness and everything went back to normal. Head came crashing, forced back into a wholly material experience. The acute feelings from before were reduced to a fleeting, unplaceable instinct. It's also raw again. Raw and lesser. The wisp had disappeared. Held my palms forward, my fur returned to its normal shade, absence of inner light. Why did you stop? Don't get drunk on that yet, Alex. Point to try to check how responsive you are to magic, and you have responded well. Very good. Means you are truly capable of magic. This sigil is true. You are a Pervader. Can you do that again? I will not. I gave you a taste which you need to look for. Now you must seek it out yourself. Moved his hands once more and conjured a wisp. I moved forwards again, but this time it stopped midway and rose up slightly, just high enough out of reach. Urge yourself to sense the wisp as you felt it when it was inside your chest. Close your eyes. Search for the sense that narrows. Sense that narrows? I don't understand any of this. What is this trying to achieve? Focus. Focus. My mind delved and tried to recall the sensation. It's hard to grasp. Brought my hands forward. Alan's movements were arcane, though I tried to do what he did, flicking my wrists and fingers about, and to try and let me into his magic. Who told you to move your hands? That's what you were doing. I said to search with your senses, not your fingers. Keep your hands to your sides and take a deep breath. Take a good look at the wisp, try to focus on it. Then close your eyes and find another way. Keep searching. Stood there in awkward idleness, feeling like a total fool. This isn't what Alan does when he casts a spell. There's always a movement of hands and some kind of words uttered. My eyes locked on the wisp. What am I supposed to see? It's there, but there's nothing else I'm getting from it. Close my eyes. Am I trying to cast a spell? There's different points of this. I stood still, listening to the breeze shuffling the bush behind me. It's not where I should be. Tried to concentrate, searching for anything relevant, the wisp or Alan or some kind of arcane hint. Nothing came to me except the darkness of shut-eye. Sound of a snapping twig several feet away behind my meditation. Jim saw risen to his feet and was reaching out to grab something from the tree. Broke away, frustrated and defeatist, pacing around the shade. What are we doing, Alan? In an instant, the wisp vanished again, and Alan walked towards me with an icy stare. Do you want to learn magic or not? Yes. Then stop acting like a child. I'm not asking you to do much, just concentrate. Aren't there words? You're sure? No! No words for you! This is booming in his face. Turned terrible, flashing teeth. His eyes seemed darker and sharper, and the wrinkles around his eyes mellowed out. Bottom of his lip trembled before he spoke again. Sorry, I didn't mean to raise my voice. I'm sorry, reaching gently for my shoulders, grabbed me and squeezed just tight enough. Look, Alex, I want you to do this. I need to know you can handle magic. I am not trying to be difficult with you. This is the way it has to be. It has always been. All Pervaders learn this way. It's no big deal. This is just the first step. I know it can be frustrating, but you'll need to push past it. I need you to succeed. Alan leaned on my shoulders and let me go. He tilted his head to the side, pleading out with watery eyes. Knowing you are able, you may give me some insight about this curse. Please. Me. Yes, you'll see. Corey's mouth drew up and shone with a reassuring smile of his. I trust you. I know you can do this. All you have to do is focus. It's not going to be obvious at first, but you'll get there. I promise you'll get there, alright? Okay, it's fine. I shouldn't have gotten so frustrated. Think I'll not be lost without you. Nodded and his gaze shifted away. Both of us then happened to look at Jimsar, who was lying below the tree, munching an apple in his hand. He continued to snack and stare at us like making some kind of scene. Threw a critical stare his way, and he just rolled his eyes again. Well, best get back to it then. Yeah, I'll try again. Remember to breathe deep, close your eyes, and just search. As he walked away, he conjured another wisp, making a float just below the canopy. Alan stepped over to Jimsar and wagged his finger at him, getting him up. I'll stay here and make sure he doesn't get into trouble. He'll... Hey! Obear snatched half-eaten fruit from Lipper's hands. Thief as well! Alan scurried off and Jimsar ran to catch up to him, or them return to the campfire. Now, let's focus. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. Refocus on the wisp above. You will be mine. Close my eyes again. My mind wandered back to the moment when the light was inside me. Worked to drudge up that memory as clearly as I could, to recall the sights, sounds, and smells that bound it. It was hard to focus, as I would be tempted to wander towards other memories. Each time I misstepped, I would see Alan's face. Focus on the task, Alex. Light in my chest, peace of mind, searching. Searching. The thing that narrows. The black, vivid sway of thoughts played with my concentration, sometimes giving in to picturesque distractions. Saw a mockery of Alan staring away from the nothingness of the background. His kind smile shone through. Behind him, stern look. Jimsar's father. His hand was on his son's back, urging him forward. No, this isn't where I should be. Tried to dispel this mindscape, but it persisted. Jimsar was still there. Stark, solid, unwavering. My mind edged closer to conscious space, risking a return to reality. Could go over. This place is uncertain, yet I feel there is something useful to be found if I keep going. Picture's fading, I cannot abandon it. Jimsar. His outline grew sharper. He was in steel armor. Then he was in light. Oh, okay, I'm pausing this now. He's gonna be getting naked. Or not, I was concerned. Then he laid down. A shadow fell over him and everything around him. He was holding something. Suddenly a tree became real, growing from behind where he lay. It grew and grew, branches extended and poked outwards like lines thrown across the deck of a ship. Little sprigs poked out alongside the branches. Then they grew flowers. A remarkable bloom, fruit in every branch. Apples. The tree stopped growing, but life gave life to what was adjacent. A floating branch, tip to tip, just shy of touching. This one started to grow too, only in reverse. The airborne branch extended into the trunk down to its roots, which sank in the ground behind me. The two trees made an arch. I realized there was another element present. It was always there, yet only now it came to my awareness. The wisp, just as vivid as the other elements of this vision, floated below the canopies of hanging together with the other fruit, as if hiding with them. I almost thought it a conscious and clever thing, like designed camouflage. Now it was clear. The scene grew wilder. Grass below my feet sprung out and took shape and shade. There was no sun or sky, yet light shone through openings in the foliage. Other trees sprang up, distant sounds began to ring. Felt my whiskers tickle at a gentle breeze. Bugs, buzzing, chirping, whistling wind. This is too much. I felt overburdened with sensation. The scene kept getting larger, everything was fuzzier. The wisp. The wisp. It's losing shape, but its light is dulled. I cannot let it escape. Get it back, come on. I focused my vision self to look at it. Can I understand it now? I see there's a tendency to find adjacencies. Travel down the grapevine, hop and skim from thing to thing to find more and more. But I need to force myself to lock onto the essentials. The whisk grew sharper, other aspects began to fall to focus conscious thought. The grass was ground. Jimsar was gone. The apples vanished one by one. I missed every detail into its thought material and redirected it towards that little light. I'll have you sparkle, show me everything you know. Elix. Alan's voice tore me from where I was. My eyes had flinched up so that I lost its spatial trance. My face scrunched. I wouldn't go off on him, though. I let him get annoyed again. When I stopped to study his expressions, there was a quirk to it. What is it? Did you do this? What did I do? I looked around, but nothing seemed to have happened. Pointed at the wisp. What was he talking about? Do what? This. Perched and waved a hand around the wisp. I see. The wisp was never flown to lower height. I put it up there when I left you, and now it's down here. Ah, what did you do? Stretched my head. I don't know, I just did what you told me. Where's the wisp and Jimsar and the apples? Alan peeked at me through narrow eyes. Pointed a finger upwards and whirled it around in a circling motion. Can you move it around? Move it? How would I? Just move it. Pointed the wisp point to the side. The old bear looked at me and nodded, smirking and showing his teeth. Earlier I got mad at him for trying to use my hands. I don't know what he wants me to do now, but I don't understand how else I would carry this out. Slowly brought my hand up, checking to see if he could get it set again. Nodded some more and smiled more broadly, urging me on. Well, okay. Held my hand up forwards, pointed at the wisp. Thought to grasp it, trying to wield it to exert my intentions. Then I swung my hand to the right. The wisp moved. It's moving! Its motion carries on an intense shiver rushing down my spine. Remarkable. Gasping. Helen, I'm doing it! In the left hand, the wisp followed left, lifted my hand, up went the little light. Swayed up and down, left and right, back and forth, all around. Shock and awe. Tiny thing dances at every twitch of my wrist or finger. Like the little time I held that wand, it's the exact same motion, like a puppet following its strings. Dizzy, I feel drunk, and there are tears welling up my eyes. Grinning so hard it's starting to hurt. To my bleared vision, I see my hand is trembling. My legs are shaky. There, lad. That was wrong, whatever. Okay, I just have to say, that entire sequence was just completely dark, and he was describing the fucking forest just growing out of nothing. That was in my head, too. I could picture that pretty vividly. It was crazy, but okay. Alan had placed his arm around me, supporting me. I was feeling heavy and weak, and he was there for me to lean on. Gently pushed me down, helped me rest against the tree. Kept my hand extended desperately onto the wisp. I can control it. Yes. I was out for a while. Jimsar brought me a cup of water. Day's heat started to seep in, but it was nicer into the shade. Alan is here, kneeling next to me. Smiled, looking proud, yet his eyes held a hint of something else. Couldn't tell what it was. There's no need to hide things from me, Alan. What is it? Fire's lips looked surprised. You did good, lad. Can't believe I managed it. It took me a while to get there, but I focused really hard and I got to see it. At least I think that's what happened. It's so strange it was all magic like this. Meditating like that, it can't be the way you always cast spells. You don't do that. Alan, you must teach me how to do it. The quiet but kept staring at me just the same. It was a stare he gave me before. This is what he looked like right before revealing he was a Pervader. What is it? What is what? Am I misreading him? Maybe he thinks I'm being silly. He looked away. Waited for him to respond, but nothing came. Alan, come on, tell me. Turned slightly toward me and kept looking down. Then rested on the ground, fingers playing with the blades of grass between them. Heavy breath escaped from his mouth. You know you didn't actually cast the spell. You didn't cast... Yes, that's true, on the name of the wisp. So what, that was still magic, wasn't it? Did I do something wrong? Alan gave me a soft smile and a placative wave of hand. No, no. The opposite, actually. You were only supposed to explore your insight, and instead you went beyond and applied yourself. Is that strange? I just glanced out into the side. Perhaps not strange, rather uncanny, I think. You are quite a bit older than the average newly awakened. Most start their training when they come of age, but you are not that young. You do not have the weight of maturity. Insight and outlook weathered by life, you are posed to do better, I see. I shouldn't be surprised, really. I'm not that mature. Takes a measure of maturity to say something like that. The old bear chuckled without roaring laughter. I thought I'm mad. It's so funny. Squee boiled down until eventually he stopped running a tear from his eye. You made me happy and proud. He stared at me beaming. I could hardly resist betraying the smile. It made me feel warm inside. I've wanted so long it finally happened. Yet doubt began to creep into my mind. Somehow I gained control of the wisp. How did that happen? I didn't understand it. Was it a fluke? Maybe I was lucky like I hoped to be when I was mimicking Alan's hand movements. Turning around from the corner of my eye, I saw him tilt his head. What's the matter? I think I was just lucky. God, I didn't understand what I was doing. I was picturing the place. I saw the wisp, but I didn't decide to control it. Something happened. It happened because you intuited the right thing. No need to doubt yourself. Wasn't I supposed to cast my own wisp? Not quite. Says I did well, and how can I believe that if I don't understand it? Alex, it's fine. The first step was to find the correct mind space so you can manifest your ability. Now that you've been through that, you can repeat the process to find the way to the next part. Okay. Alright, this will take a little while longer. I saw Jim Sar walk up to us, smile with half a heart and eyes glazed. He cleared his throat. Are we heading off anytime soon? Alan still met him. I need a bit more time with Alex. Jim Sar sighed. Alright, it's still early, but if another storm catches us, we have time. Regardless, I need to do this with Alex. He may help us understand what's going on with you two. Thank you for your patience. Leopard accepted the purse lift in his eyes narrow, but he hesitated to voice any more complaints. Okay, I'll just break camp while you guys finish up. Thank you, Jim Sar. Pranced away. Alan placed his hand on his hips and rolled his eyes at me. He has a point. I have a better one. Extended his hand toward me. Come on, stand up. This time Alan explained to me the various angles one can follow to tackle this spellbound meditative trance in order to manifest magic. The imagined space is a sandbox from which spells are cast. Symbols must be fashioned through figments, or what he calls mind clay. Picture a candle. It's the flame in your mind, see it flicker in the breeze. Notice the hues and the rise and fall of intensity. Spot the blackened wick at its core. See the sharp trail of smoke rising up and fading. Smell the fumes and burning waxes. Feel it burn. Pour a fuel on the flame, make it grow, make it blaze like a torch. He said I had to build these entities and store them in my memory, that I would later recall them and invoke their image. But that was not enough to spawn a wisp. You cannot conjure the flame of a candle because there is no candle. Thus you must create your own light. The wisp is not a true flame. Its warmth and gleam don't come from burning or sunlight manifestation, but another force that communicates radiance. You need to imitate light. This is so fucking cool. This magic system seems to rely basically entirely on your imagination, which is so fucking cool. God, I love that actually. Uh, Honestly, this whole thing of like picturing something and that like has power, it kind of reminds me of like the first couple chapters of Doctor Sleep, because in that Danny like keeps the ghosts at bay by locking them in boxes in his head. It reminds me of that for some reason. And so I delved deeper into a deliberate fantasy, seeking out new forms of light, fire, and warmth. My new awareness was able to make sense of this chaos, to keep it all in perspective, to strengthen the image and prevent it from fading. It was like a waking dream. I would play with my symbols, mash them against each other, giving birth to new forces that made no sense in real terms. Yet it felt natural in this other world. This whole another universe. This is a whole nother universe. There are new rules and laws to test. Here, freedom is a primitive principle. I have subtle appendages with absolute reach, so much to take in. But I can tell this universe is bounded. I am all-powerful, yes, but I'm trapped in its shell. Knowing there is a limit, my reach means nothing. This place, I'm like the spoke on a wheel. Process runs with me, and I am part of the process. My mind is a furnace, smelting thoughts, suggestions, clues, and hunches, shaping them into tools. They fit in my hand and I can wield them. They're like puzzle pieces, but the puzzle pieces do not seem to fit. Combinations, permutations, arrangements, adding, subtracting, analysis, brute force. This could just be one huge metaphor for writing. Like, seriously. Alright, sorry about that. The experiment carries on in a timeless bubble with nothing to show for it. Pointless. I surrender. My mind ascends the way it came, gently rising back to reality. The transfer is no longer sudden. The path is open to me, as Alan had said before. I am changed. It is the same road viewed in reverse. I am at a different angle. Everything is a different angle. I can see a face I could not see before. I can travel in and out of this state any time I wish. The signposts are put in place like pillars of an ageless material. They will never falter. Though, those thoughts are strange, so arcane. There was a place where things made sense, but looking back, I cannot attach reason to any of it. The journey was proper, though fruitless. I have not found a way to procure a wisp. My eyes went old and locked. Rolling. Down the valley I go. Well? I can't do it. What, did you get lost? No, I was there, but I know I can't do it. I haven't figured it out yet. I think I need more time. I seem puzzled by my conviction. How do you know? I know. I think you know too. Ellen nodded slowly. You seem, wise to it. I was where I was supposed to be, where you wanted me to go. I narrowed and played with a stinging sensation crawled across my temples went to rub it. I see. Good. Perhaps we should have started slower. Next time you must take it easy. Explore to your leisure, instead of searching for something. I should have known you would overindulge. You're very keen to progress. But care must be taken when one is deep in the ether. The ether, I had mentioned that term before. My intuition flared and railed it down and purposely withheld the word until now. His face was drawn straight that I could find confirmation in it. What is the... I asked a question, I already know the answer. But the question is inevitable. What we call magic is the end result of an event caused by supernatural mechanism. Every area around us there is a state of abstract equilibrium and potential energy for abstract change. Pervaders can perceive this dynamic and able to make sense of it. Shaman are blind to it. Able to see, able to affect, once you begin to play around and test. Release the energy and a new form takes shape. This is what we call ether. When your conscious flows from here to there, it sinks into a sea of forces, where everything is mutable. The ether is our clay, it is the fire it powers, the breath that gives life. It's the soul of men and women and the spark of imagination. It's everywhere. Alan cracked a knowing smile. And only we can see it. Very promising, Alex, very promising indeed. Should read this now, you'll time their footnotice on the road. Now would be a terrible time to sleep. Consider this your second awakening. I feel strangely numb. I know it will pass. How can I help now? Ilp. This affliction. In due time. You are much too exhausted right now. This is only the beginning. There is much for you to learn. Alan placed his hand on my back and walked us back towards the camp. Jimsar gathered up all our things and was laying down yet again, eating another one of his apples. He was lead us here ready to go. Fine, let's about to doze off. Not sure how long I spent under that trance. Time was hard to grasp. I knew I could look up at the sun in the sky and figure it out, but just the thought gave me a headache. I don't want to think anymore. The rest of the day, my legs will be doing all the work. Tomorrow we arrive in Vale Garon. I hope to be even more keeled by then. A place with so many pervaders is bound to have important answers. Now I just have to figure out the right questions. Oh yay, new background. New background. Cool. You know what, I'm gonna call it here. Yeah, I'm going to call it here. It is 1:30. It is 1:30 a.m. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.